Hey, it's Jahar again. Welcome back to my channel, and I'm finally making that Legend of Korra video I told you I was gonna make. This came a little bit later than I meant for it to. I haven't made a video in 3 weeks, which is not like me, unless I'm not feeling good. I wasn't feeling good last week, but that doesn't explain the last 2 weeks. So since I'm finally making this video, we're here to talk about Legend of Korra, and I personally love it. And I mean, several months ago I would have said I loved Avatar more, but since I rewatched it and discussed it on a Facebook group a lot, and I realized how much I love it. I would not go as far as say I love it more than Avatar. Some people do, which makes me a little bit happy because other people trash on Legend of Korra for not the right reasons. And it's honestly a lot better than people give it credit for. It really is. Korra, I mean, there's so many things that there's things I like more about Avatar and things I like more about Korra. And now that I think about it, I like them pretty much evenly, because there are things that Avatar has that Korra doesn't, and things that Korra has that Avatar doesn't, you know? And I was a little upset about a couple of things Korra did to Avatar. They played it out to make it look like Aang wasn't the best father, which I know he's not perfect, and I should put him on that high pedestal. That's why he made so many mistakes in Avatar, because he was put on this high pedestal, because he's an air nomad and peace, and he's the Avatar, the last airbender, you know? So I wasn't trying to put him on this high pedestal thinking he would be this fantastic father, because everyone makes mistakes. Now, no parent is perfect, right? But I get why Aang would be around Tenzin a lot, his youngest child and only airbender. Him and Katara had 3 kids. Bumi is the oldest, who was named after Aang's childhood friend. Nikaya is is the second and only girl named after Katara and Sokka's mother. And then Tenzin, not named after anyone in particular, just a name, I guess. Kaya is a waterbender. Bumi is a non-bender. Yet I'll get into that eventually. But Tenzin was the only airbender, so I understand why he would want to put on his knowledge on Tenzin, because now he's no longer the last airbender, and now his entire airbending nation is under this one child. Everything is on his shoulders now, no longer Aang's. Maybe a little bit still Aang, until he passed away, and then it was all on Tenzin. But and the Air Nation lives again. He has 4 airbending kids. Well, at least 3, because I don't think it ever stressed if the child that was born at the end of season 1 ended up being an airbender, because in season 4 they don't even mention him. He should have been like 4 or 5 by that time, but no, they just talk about the oldest 3, which is something that bugged me. But I'm not on season 4 yet. I'm talking about pretty much in between Avatar and Legend of Korra. But and that kind of upset me, because by the way, it seems Kaya and Bumi felt like he pretty much ignored them, because all he cared about was Tenzin and rebuilding the Air Nation. And I get Aang would care about that. He wants his culture to live, and I really understand that. I do. But I don't think Aang would push away from Bumi and Kaya and ignore them. Like Tenzin was saying, oh, we went on this place with Dad, he took us here, he took us there, and the Kaya and Bumi was like, no, it was just you, we never went to any of those places. And I understand Tenzin I understand Aang taking Tenzin just a couple of times, for the Air Nation, like if he's taking him to see some of the Air Nation temples, I get that. But all of those trips, he should have included his other children a couple times, and I don't think Aang would not. So that did kind of bug me. And what else bugged me is that everyone, all the main gang in Avatar had a statue, and it kind of, by what they were saying, it kind of sounded like they had, except for Katara. That's what I almost forgot about that. Even Cabbage Man had a stinking statue. I mean, Aang, Sokka, I'm a little upset Suki didn't, but Sokka wasn't on there too. I'll get to that all in a minute. But Aang, Toph, Zuko, Sokka, they all had a statue. Even Cabbage Man had a statue. Katara did not. And that really bugged me. And by the way they made it sound like after the finale of Avatar, she kind of just sat back, you know, she settled in with life with Aang, they got married, they had kids, and she became kind of like a housewife. And I would see, Katara's already the mother of the group, as it is, you know? And I can see her being this amazing mother to her 3 children, but I don't see her, I mean, one of my favorite scenes with Katara is when she yelled at Sokka and said, I will never ever turn my back on people who need me, you know, and the world still needed her, and all of them. And I just don't see Katara laying back and not helping make Republic City, or the Air Nation Temple, or Air Nation Island, I think they called it, whatever. But I don't see her sitting back while everyone else is doing all this. You know, Toph became a cop, Sokka became part of the Republic City Council or something. And then Aang was rebuilding the Air Nation. He let everyone volunteer to become an air acolyte if they wanted to, which is basically people who would go to the Air Nation and wear Air Nation clothing and learn about the ways. None of them would be airbenders, but this way he could rebuild the Air Nation. And a lot of people did volunteer. Tenzin's wife ended up volunteering, Pamela. That's how they met. Okay. So I guess there were a couple things that really bugged me that I just don't see happening. They kind of changed the characters a little bit by the sounds of it. But they did great with the new characters. So a couple of them were flawed at the beginning, yes, but everyone is, you know, even Angus, he made mistakes. People always kind of do put him in a high pedestal, even fans, not just on the show. But Zuko became Fire Lord. I don't think I mentioned that. Well, we already knew that from that, yeah, but he completely made the Fire Nation great again. That's what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, but Legend of Korra is actually a really good show. Season 1, there will be spoilers if you have not seen it, but if you are trying to decide if you should watch it, you should definitely watch this video, because I'm going to explain why it's a lot better than people give credit. I feel like nowadays people are liking it a lot more. You know, when there was a time when it got trashed on a lot, but now I hear a lot more positive things about the show, which makes me so happy. You know, with all these new fans getting into Avatar and then watching Legend of Korra because it is a spin-off, and then there are old fans that are rewatching it and seeing it in a different light that they hadn't seen before. But season 1, Korra had already mastered 3 of the abilities. She was 17. So she moves to Republic City to learn air, which is the one she's been having struggle with. Because in Avatar and Legend of Korra, they stress that the element you have the most trouble with is the element opposite of your personality, you know? And for Aang, it was Earth, because he's this like light on the feather air nomad, you know? But Earth, he's not that strong, tough rock, you know? On Legend of Korra, Korra had already mastered fire, earth, and water. Well, obviously water, that's the nation she was born in, so she probably mastered that first. And then I think she mastered earth second, because when the show first started, she was doing the firebending test to prove that she's a firebending master now. But so she moved to Republic City. She lived in the Southern Water Tribe with Katara. Katara kind of took care of her, probably because she was the reincarnated of her late husband. But she moved to Public City for Tenzin to help her, where you also meet Lin, Toph's oldest daughter. Well, she's like, at first you think that's Toph's only daughter or only child because it's the only one that I mentioned for the first 2 seasons. Season 3 you meet Toph's youngest daughter. I'll get into that when I get to season 3. So Korra's hot-headed, and I mean, I saw this thing and it's so true and I loved it, and it explains a lot because a lot of people compare Korra to Aang, which they shouldn't, because even though they are reincarnated, they're still completely different people. And I read something that said Aang's journey as the Avatar was about being human, learning how to be the Avatar, which is true. You know, he had to become it. But with Korra, she found out very young, younger than even Aang did, and so her journey was about being the Avatar, this loved thing who sheltered her entire life because of people that were after her, which she finds out that's why she was actually sheltered her entire life in season 3, because there were these people that were after her when she was a child. But I'll get that when I get to season 3. And so her journey was about being the Avatar, learning to be human, you know. Aang had to become more confident, more strong, more determined, while Korra had to become more soft, more sweet, more compassionate. And it shows that beautifully. Both journeys shows it so beautifully, and it doesn't show it just like some storylines. The reason why they don't work is because it shows that it happened within like a season. It's like one season it shows this entire thing happening. A character changes a complete 180 from who they were. But the reason why these journeys were so amazing is because Aang became that strong, confident person in 3 seasons, and it was a slow growth. That's probably why Zuko's redemption arc was so beautiful, because it was a slow growth. Same with Sokka's, and Mako's in Legend of Korra, and so Korra had 4 seasons to become this more sweet, compassionate person than she once was, you know, but she had to. So one thing I like more about Legend of Korra is that they had a villain each season. On Avatar, on the other hand, there was only pretty much the only villain was the Fire Nation, and they had a few Fire Nation soldiers. The main villains are Ozai and Azula, and that one guy from season 1 who ended up dying at the end. I don't remember. They bring him back in Legend of Korra, actually, when they're in the spirit world. He's in this forgotten place that no one can escape, and it kind of makes you go mad. And I kind of like that they brought him back after all this time. But yeah. Anyways, this isn't going to be about comparing, because they're 2 completely shows and they shouldn't be compared. So but Amon is the main. Amon and a little bit of Tarlok is the main villain on season 1. They're brothers, which you don't know at first. Tarlok didn't even know that his brother was Amon until close to the end of the series, when she tells Korra and Mako. Korra has feelings for Mako, and Mako has feelings for Korra, but he's dating Asami. And then Mako has a brother, Bolin. Mako and Bolin's an earthbender, Mako is a firebender. Their dad was from the Earth Nation, and which means their mother would be from the Fire Nation. But their parents were killed when they were really young, so Mako kind of raised Bolin, and they were on the streets for many of their lives until they started this pro-bending thing, which is where there's 3 people on each team: a waterbender, earthbender, and firebender. No airbenders, obviously, since there are hardly any airbenders in the world. It's kind of like a wrestling match by the sounds of it, but they bend, and then they see which team wins, and they get the championship. That's what Mako and Bolin did, and the Korra got in when they needed a new player, and even though she's the Avatar, she can only use water bending because it would be cheating otherwise. But she had a lot of trouble with airbending until the end of season 1. Amon turns out he can bloodbend, And there was an episode where it showed flashbacks of Aang and Sokka and Toph. Because Aang had to, because they were talking about Amon and Tarlok's father, Yakon, that's his name, yeah, Yakon, who was a bloodbender. But he learned how to bloodbend without a full moon, because after he learned you can only bloodbend on a full moon, and it was a very rare thing. Katara was only the second bloodbender to ever exist, Hama being the first. But yeah, so Amon was rallying all these people, these equalists, to say, oh, bending's bad, no one should bend. Turns out he's a waterbender and a bloodbender. But he had this scar saying that Fire Nation raid scarred him, but it was all makeup, which gets washed off when Korra pushes him into the water, and then he water bends out, and everyone finds out that he's a bender, plus the scar is fake, so his entire story was wrong, was a lie. But I don't know who my favorite villain is. It's not. Honestly, it's a tie between probably Zahir and Kuvira, season 3 and 4 villain. Well, season 3 technically had 4 villains, but they all kind of worked together. But Zahir was like the main villain. Anyways, so you see Katara Bears early on, and then you see Sokka and Toph in a flashback. They weren't old, but they weren't young like they were. There are theories that a lot of people think Suki died young, and that's why Sokka never married or had kids. Some people theorize that Sokka is Toph's younger daughter Su Yin's father, because both Lin and Su Yin have different fathers, but I don't buy that, because Sokka wouldn't just abandon his child unless he didn't think it was hers. But I like the theory about Suki dying young in battle, and then Sokka never marrying and having kids again, because, you know, he just watched the second person he was in love with die at UA, and how Suki, of course he's not going to, you know, that's just really sad. But anyways, back to season 1 of Asami starts noticing something about Mako and Korra, and Bolin is so sweet. He's such a Sokka. He's just like Sokka, I swear. And he's so kind, and I love him, and he has my heart. So does Asami. She's so sweet, but also such a warrior, you know, and she's just so amazing. And she can't bend like Sokka, so but she can still hold her own. And like Toph, she was this rich girl, you know, daddy's little girl, and because of it, everyone thinks she can't do anything on her own because she's daddy's little girl, this rich kid. But they find out that Asami's dad is actually working for Amon, which and Asami gets really upset, turns on her dad to help her friends do what's right, which I love. I love that scene when she turns on him. But and he goes to jail. And then yeah, so and Legend of Korra is more dark than Avatar: Last Airbender. Like how Amon gets away. I mean, he can take away people's bending, which usually can only be happen from the Avatar. But somehow he managed. There's a fly that's been bugging me. Okay. Anyways, he's been I lost my train of thought. What was I saying about Amon? Yeah, which is usually a thing that can only happen by the Avatar. The Avatar is the only one that can take or give people bending. Well, the Avatar can't just give someone a bending. They have to already have it in them for them to be able to, you know. But anyways, he manages to use blood bending to do that, and he even takes away the lens and almost gets Bolin, Tenzin, and his kids. But he takes away Korra's and was about to take away Mako's before she finally airbended for the first time. And so he took away her other powers, but since she hadn't unlocked airbending yet, that didn't count. So she was able to airbend. That's the only one she was able to use, though. Amon got away, and which I liked. I liked that Amon got away, and I liked that how his death was different than, you know, Korra doing it, because it shows that, no matter how skilled you are, it's more than just plain skill to get you there. You know, that was always the thing with Azula. She got as far as she did with skill, but sometimes it's more than that. Like Katara, she has skill, but she got as far as she did not from skill, but from heart. You know, and and that's another core lesson Korra has to learn. And she was always kind of a prodigy, not in the maniac way Zula was, but still. But so Tarlok actually blows him and Amon. And they died. Like I said, this was a little bit more darker because, I mean, Nickelodeon doesn't have the strict rules Disney does, but still, in Nickelodeon you wouldn't see a suicide homicide thing. It was like he killed his brother, killed himself. But yeah, so and then Katara couldn't give her bending back with all her healing. She was the best healer in the world. But then when she was at her lowest, Mako told her he loved her, and she said she can't because she was too frazzled and upset at that point. But then she spoke to Aang came, and so did all the avatars, and said that when you're at your lowest point, your body's most ready for change or something like that. It's not his exact words, but you get what I mean. And it gives her bending, and then she gives everyone who lost their bending, including Lin. Lin was the only one that really showed, but I'm sure she did other people too. But yeah, so and then but before she gave Lin her back her bending, and after she got her bending back, she hugged Mako and said, "I love you too," kissed him, and they were together. Their relationship didn't go well. It was 6 months later is when season 2 starts, and so they've been dating 6 months. Seems like it's been doing good, but they still fight a lot. And I don't know if this is their first issues or if they had issues for the past 6 months, but Korra's problem is that she always thinks Mako's taking someone else's side, and Mako doesn't know the right thing to say to make Korra feel better. He's a cop now. Bolin's still doing pro bending, and he becomes a movie star. Varric is the first person to discover movies. You meet Varric, and this is Zuli, and he makes Bolin this famous movie star, and then everyone starts loving him. Plus, he's a pro bender, so people just love him even more than they already did because he's famous, even more famous. But yeah, and the villain in that is Unalaq, Korra's uncle. She actually leaves Tenzin because she wants to learn more about spirits and stuff, which is something the North Pole more with than the South Pole. So she starts with her uncle, and she finds out that her father was banished, and because he had almost destroyed the North Pole, turns out it was Unalaq's fault, and framed what's her father's name? I don't remember her father's name. But is it Tarlok? I thought that was Amon's brother. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But whatever. He framed Korra's brother. Not even he knew it. He actually thought it was his fault. But she goes against Unalaq when she realizes what he's doing, how wrong he is. He's trying to become the anti-avatar, a dark avatar, by linking himself with a dark spirit during the night of the convergence, United Convergence, something like that. And yeah, so like I said, Amon and Unalaq were good villains. They're just not my favorite. I mean, in the entire Avatar universe, it's Azula that's my favorite. Then Zahir and Kubera. Then probably Ozai, and because he is the one that started it all. And then probably Amon and Unalaq, and I think I like Unalaq and then Amon, and then the guy from season 1 of Avatar. And the reason why I like Unalaq more than Amon is because I think that was a big thing, Korra having to fight her uncle. You know, I mean, it's not like they were super close, but she still cared about him. He was her uncle, and I think that was a big part. You know, I mean, like Zuko having to fight his father and sister on Avatar, they kind of rebuilt that by having Korra having no choice but to fight her uncle, you know? And the spirit ended up taking over, and she had to link herself with the light spirit. By this point, Korra and Mako are broke up, she lost her memory, found out the story of the first Avatar, Wan, how he became the Avatar, and then she forgot about her breakup with Mako, and then Mako had already started seeing Asami again, but then she ends up remembering, and everything was well between the two of them this time, and Mako and Asami stayed broken up, and Bolan started kind of seeing Uniloc's daughter. He has twins, a girl and a boy, Eska and Desna. Eska's the girl, and he kind of started seeing her, but she kind of treated him really, really bad, and Bolan deserves so much better. I mean, she kind of treated him like a slave. He was like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then, you know, and every time I tried to break up with her, she would be like, you're right, we need to get married, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? But Bolan ends up leaving, and her finally, she was not happy about that. Later on, they agree that they're better off apart anyways, and they get off at better circumstances, kind of like with Korra and Mako. But and then so at the end, when she's fighting Unalaq, who's been intertwined with the dark spirit, she's been intertwined with the light spirit, and they're fighting. He won the first battle, and then she lost the connection to her past lives, which is not her fault. It was Unalaq's fault, just for anyone who thinks, oh, Korra lost the connection to past life, she's so terrible. No, it wasn't her fault. Just like people saying, what happened to her at the end of season 3, getting poisoned and crap, and almost dying was her fault. Oh, it's all her fault. She almost destroyed the entire Avatar line. No, it's not her fault. A villain hurts her, and it's her fault. That's everyone's logic of Legend of Korra, and it's not true. Okay, moving on before I get into this whole rant. Because I will get into a whole rant, just letting you know. Okay. So she ends up having to meditate, and then her spirit comes out of her body and becomes giant, and she starts fighting Unalaq, and she wins. And it was kind of amazing. And I love watching that, you know, she just completely kicked butt, you know, and it was awesome. But how did season 2 end after that? I don't remember now. Oh yeah, she decided to leave the spirit portal open, so that she's not the bridge, because the spirit portal was open. Unalaq took her when she still trusted him to open it, but Unalaq's dead, and she decided to keep it open because she's like, what if Wan was wrong about being the Avatar should be the bridge between spirits? Spirits should be able to intertwine with human life as they please, and vice versa. So she decided to keep it open, and Tenzin supported that. And oh yeah, Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi decided to go into the spirit world at one point, and because Jinora was stuck there, and they were trying to free her, and they did. And then Jinora comes in and helps Korra because she's the next new generation of spiritual leaders. It was Aang, and not because he was the Avatar before. It was just because he's an air nomad, and he's last air nomad. But Tenzin always thought he would be next, but he wasn't. He never seen spirit or anything. Jinora had, and she became the next spiritual leader. But yeah. Anyways, and leaving the spirit thing open had some amazing I lost my train of thought. Something happened because that you find out in season 3, and it would never have happened if she hadn't left the spirit portal open. I think that's all for this video, so I'll get into season 3 and 4 of my next video. Maybe get a little bit more into the past about what we already know. So yes, Katara was on here and there in the first 2 seasons. She was not. I don't remember if she's on, I think she's on season 3. I don't know, but I know she was on season. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. But anyways, oh yeah, she was on season 4. Yeah, she was. But Toph and Zuko eventually make appearances. Aang and Sokka are already dead. Aang you do see though a few times where she's in the Avatar state, and then in a flashback, and you see Sokka once in a flashback. So yeah. But yeah, I'll get into what happened with the spiritual, by leaving the spirit portal open when you when I get into season 3, because at the very beginning you find out some side effects. Literally in the first few minutes it happens to Boomy, and the side effects are good though, like amazing, and it's like everything Aang ever wanted, and it's finally coming true. And I know I'm probably leaving off with suspense now, but that's the end of this video. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment how you feel about Legend of Korra, the first 2 seasons, and what we know about what happened in between Avatar and Legend of Korra. And I will talk to you about season 3 and 4, and then maybe some extra things about my feelings on the characters and the ships, which I try to explain it more together next time, like not as long in my next video, so I do have more time to talk about the ships and the characters, because that's kind of what I did with my last Avatar video, not so much this video. So I will make a second part to this video really soon, I promise. Okay, so that is it.